сучасну літературу.
Дякую, мені нема що взяти, може потім.
Так, або на фестивалі я вам його і тоді передам.
Це ж останнє, ну?
Так.
Курєш.
Кримсько-татарську як буде питатися.
Салам алейкум.
Салам алейкум.
А можна сказати Міраба.
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 Міраба. Це як привіт. This is the 17th of June. The Ukrainian Media Center Ukraine of Ukrinform is working. My name is Svetlana Necheporenko, and today we're speaking about the Crimean stage Bağçasaray, the Land of Dreams Anniversary ethno-festival. From the 21st till the 23rd, we'll have the third country of dreams in Ukraine. We'll have 15 thematic locations and 2 stages. One of the stages is the Crimean stage of Bağçasaray. The participants of today's discussion are Tamila Tasheva, permanent representative of the President of Ukraine to the Autonomous Republic of Crimea, Alim Aliyev, Deputy Director of the Ukrainian Institute, Ismail Kurt-Umer, singer, and Oleg Skrypka, musician and founder of the Land of Dreams Ethnic Music and Culture Festival. Hello. Tamila, I would like to start the conversation with you. No, start with Oleg. Okay, let it be Oleg. Oleg, could you please tell about this year festival? It's a jubilee one, but this is not the first one of the Crimean platform and Crimean stage there. Why is it important this time to show this Crimean stage, and what can the people expect for? What will they hear? Well, maybe the artists are feeling something, because really, the Crimean Tatars are at the festival since the very beginning. We had the Crimean stage together with Tamila when we got acquainted with her, and it was always nice and convenient and even natural, I would say, to work with them. This was a kind of a synergy which we felt there, and I think Tamila will tell about that. I think that we both felt this high necessity of the Crimean-Ukrainian relations so as they could be developed in the cultural way. Because really, this was not well done so far. We, the Ukrainians, face certain issues with the war and cultural issues because the society does not understand the values enough. And this is our festival, and our common actions are the objective of that. So as we could know where we are from and where we are heading for in the cultural sense, because we are creative people, we are only doing that. And last year, we have restored the festival. We coped to do that at the territory of imagination, at the exhibition center territory. That is really nice. And as of today, we are preparing the festival, though under the conditions of war, it would be the highest scale festival during the last 20 years, because we have piled up material, we know what to say and how to show, we have new ideas emerging, and Ukraine has changed. In spite of the war, in spite of it, our creative potential is really high. We have new stages, new locations. Let me correct you. We don't have just 2 stages, we have 4 of them. 4 full-fledged stages. One of them is Crimean Tatar. We'll also have the stage of dreams, what used to be ethno-rock. Then we'll have Paradise, that is pure folk. And we have a mystical stage added. And also we'll have platforms, kind of a poetic stage, because poetry, as of today, the war poetry exists already. Young poets are writing poems with the relevant topics embedded in them. And I think that the Crimean stage will have poetry as well, both in translations and in the original language. So this is a huge volume of the festival. I am happy that our partners and our friends, our allies, our cultural brothers in arms are supporting us. That is very nice and easy to work with them. I'm happy to be close to you. Thank you, Oleg, so much. Tamila, now the floor is yours. This time you're taking part in the Crimean stage within the discussion which will take place there. Why was it important for you to take part in this event and to remind about the value and the significance of the Crimean Tatar culture? Such events of the Land of Dreams, why is it important to preserve Crimean Tatar culture? Thank you so much for the question, but let me start with a different thing. I would like to make a public coming out, I would say. Maybe Ukrainian language. I started to love and to study Ukrainian language thanks to Oleg Skrypka and his band, Vopli Vidoplyasova, when I was 15 years old. You know, it was a kind of Russian language pop music which was everywhere, and it was not that typical for a 15-year-old girl to listen to the band of Vopli Vidoplyasova. We had the cassette tape recorder, Vesna. Those who had it, they know that it is very loud. So I turned on the cassette, which was brought by my brother. That was just the collection, not just album. And everybody, half of my street could hear the band of Vopli Vidoplyasova at my street in Simferopol, close to Simferopol. This is how I opened and revealed for myself the Ukrainian statehood, Ukrainian music, and gradually I then transitioned to the Ukrainian language of communication. Then the Orange Revolution started. I will not speak more about that, because culture is the issue of our national security. And unfortunately, for the very lengthy time, the issue of culture was not a focus of the attention. Maybe certain issues in our modern Ukrainian state took place because of that as well. I would like to say a couple of words besides the my participation in the discussion about. I'd like to speak about the partners who organized this event together with us, this Land of Dreams in its Crimean part. These are the following organizations: Zmina, NGO Crimea SOS, the Crimean Tatar Literature Project, the Crimean Injir, then the State Enterprise Crimean House and Media, Crimean Front Initiative. We have Kitab Kalasi organization, the Union of the Development of Crimean Tatar Language, and we are the partners of this stage, of the Crimean stage in Bağçasaray. I would like to express my gratitude again to Oleg, who in spring made a call to me and told that we should restore again the Land of Dreams festival. Let us do something about Crimea. Really, it seems to me in 2009 or maybe even 2008, when we started the first organization together with the Land of Dreams festival, we had the Crimean kind of glade or meadow, lawn. And it was important for me to show these links between the Ukrainians and Crimean Tatars. We brought the musicians and the dancers from the territory of the peninsula. If not the full-scale invasion, maybe we would have the musicians and the dancers from the territory of peninsula directly. Now mostly those are the artists who we are involving for the Land of Dreams and Crimean Lawn this year. They are residing on the governmentally controlled area at the continental part, and they moved long ago or after the full-scale invasion started. So for us, as Crimean Tatars, it is a huge pain because we cannot show, in fact, the culture of Crimean Tatar people directly taken from the Crimean Peninsula. But if you look at the agenda, at the program of Crimean Lawn, it is really cool. The artists who are taking part are authentic ones, the ones who are playing authentic music and singing it. And also we have the modern way ethnic music. Ismail will tell more about that. And we have more of jazz variations, where the foundation is, of course, the ethnic music. Land of Dreams is the ethnic festival. So, of course, whatever we're trying to show within the Crimean lawn, Bağçasaray undoubtedly is based upon the ethnic traditions of the Crimean Tatar people. The stage is really very diverse. We'll have both the literature part, we'll also have debates and discussions, which is so important as well, because, you know, I sometimes say that we need to get out of our bubble of this kind of minority who are in fact in Facebook and speak about Crimea only. We need to get to the wider audience. We'll have the part devoted to children. We have the part of the children's lawn at the festival, and a little part within the Crimean stage of the Land of Dreams festival. We'll also have the unique discussions, and I appeal to you, please join, like the discussion on the life of the world genius Archangel Krimsky, and Mr. Iskorstes will present a short lecture about him, because we need to tell about Archangel Krimsky. He's really the person who is known all over the world, and the Ukrainians have to know more about him as well. There will be the masters who will show their crafts, and in fact, answering your question in a nutshell about the discussions, we'll have several of them, and I think Alim will tell more about that. But the discussion which I will take part in is more, you know, devoted to the wider political processes, global processes altogether in the world. We named it, just a moment, there's lots of them. Crimea and world. Why the occupation of Crimea is not an is the only choice. According to the summary of the Peace Summit, which took place in Switzerland, where 101 countries and international organizations took part, and the topic of Crimea is in each of the points of the Ukrainian peace formula. So, of course, Crimea and the occupation of all of our territories is the only choice for us, and we need to focus on that again and again. We'll also involve the Ukrainian politicians in the discussions, and also Mr. Martin Harris, who is the extraordinary ambassador of the Great Britain to Ukraine. And by the way, the United Kingdom is helping a lot in the cultural representation of the Crimean Tatar identity altogether in Ukraine, and supports different events of cultural diplomacy that is so important. I guess that's a pause from me. Thank you, Tamila. Mr. Alim, as Tamila has just mentioned, it used to be Crimean lawn. Now it is the full-scale Crimean stage, which grew year after year, and under the conditions of full-scale invasion, it doesn't have only the creative significance. We can see the political context and the participation of the big number of NGOs. The today's Crimean stage, what is it about, and what's its objective? Hello, salam alaikum. I think that the Crimean stage today at the Land of Dreams festival is our answer to the colonization which takes place at the peninsula. And when we say today about the representation of the culture of Crimean Tatars as the integral part of Ukrainian culture, it's an important element to create the Ukrainian political nation. We are acknowledging that, we are conscious about that, and we understand that today the Crimean Tatar culture and its development at the peninsula, in fact, is impossible today. And the reflection of identity of both Crimean Tatars and Ukrainians at the peninsula is a threat to Russian security. This is how they read it. So today also the administrative and criminal cases which we have today are also based upon the foundation of this very national identity reflection and agency of Crimean Tatars as the people who originally lived at the peninsula. But the Crimean law, as the indigenous people, but the Crimean law is one of the important elements of the support of not only the traditional Crimean Tatar culture, but rather often at the Land of Dreams, and my colleagues will not let me tell lies here, we here have the birth of new cultural projects. And today, the symbiosis of the modern and traditional is a very important element when we are speaking about the culture and cultural codes and preservation of those cultural codes. This year, at the Land of Dreams Festival, we also added the literature part, and the authors of the Ukrainian Crimean Tatar project, the Crimean Injir, Crimean Fig, will read poetry and prose, and we'll have a discussion about Crimea in literature, on the way to Crimea with literature as the connection and to the roots. We'll speak about with Katerina Kalitko, the Shevchenko Award winner and poetry and writer, Anastasia Levko, the writer, and also the author of the book, and others, about how today the culture and literature in particular are those islands of freedom for the residents of Crimea. Because recently we've finalized our 5th literature competition, Crimean Fig, and we saw how many people are writing from Crimea, but rather often they're writing under pseudonyms. And today it is also one of the reflections or manifestations of their voice, or the voice of Free Peninsula, not only within but beyond the country as well. Thank you, Ismail. Let's come back to the music component of the festival. It was already mentioned that today Land of Dreams is a symbiosis of the cultural code and modern tendencies. It's very important to preserve such a cultural code. So what's your investment into that? And it seems to me altogether that every artist, musician, poet, and all together is not only the artist, but the person who is declaring his or her manifest. What will be your manifesto at this festival? Salam alaikum, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Well, in general, at the Land of Dreams Festival, it will be my 2nd time. First of all, I will be as a participant, but before that I used to be just a viewer, the part of the audience. And I'd like to say that first and foremost this project is a kind of a platform where you can see all the diversity of the Ukrainian culture. When I used to visit it for the first time, I was just admiring how multifaceted our country is. Secondly, at this festival, which will take place in a week, I know that we'll have many participants, I mean Crimean Tatars, musicians, rather diverse ones, and our project exactly is a kind of a Crimean Tatar Ukrainian one. I, with my team, that is Tanya Shashamshedinova and Schopenhauer Band, will present this project of ours. This is an album of Crimean Tatar folk songs in a new vision. I can't even tell you what style that is, because there's a whole combination of them, and that's what makes these projects interesting. As the war musician, as a Crimean Tatar, as a representative of these people, as an author of many creative and social projects, I definitely know that such cultural projects are very important, especially for the Crimean Tatars who are there now in the Crimea. Every time when here at the continental part we have some project launched, especially when the topic of Crimean Tatars is raised there, for me personally, for instance, they write from the Crimea that how important it is. Thank you, please give the greetings to those who made that, because unfortunately we cannot write and say anything from here, but at least we can write in the messages, they say. I know how important it is for the military, especially for the military Crimean Tatars who are at the front line. Again, every time when some project is issued like this, I have the words of gratitude coming to me. Words of gratitude to those who have done that. I even know when they sing the songs there in the trenches. There was a moment when a soldier told me about that. And also I know how strong is the tool of cultural projects. When we are showing here all of the diversity, this multifaceted culture of Ukraine, of other countries. In other countries, they see that we are not Nazi or fascists, how they tell about us. We are not nationalists only. Honestly speaking, I would also like to express my gratitude to Oleg. I know him since my childhood. I remember how he used to support Crimean Tatar people, always. I know how he even, well, I will not tell you about that in more details, but I know how he helped, even in 2014 when the Crimean Tatars were forced to leave the peninsula. I know that he used to help even during such moments. So, Oleg, thank you so much to you. That is really important for us. Thank you. Oleg, let me come back to you then. According to your observations, how has this Crimean stage changed during these years? You said that it upscaled, but not only with the quantity, but with the quality. What are the messages which have changed from this stage? The Crimean history and the Crimean part of culture is an inseparable part of our culture, of Ukraine as well. And at the beginning, at the biggest stage, we had Enver Ismailov together at the stage, and also we have the representatives of Crimean Tatar music there as well. We all have changed, in fact. We used to be young and hot and driven, and this energy was helping us a lot. We lacked knowledge, we lacked opportunities, and the society didn't have the need to do that. So that charismatic part of Ukrainians, we started to do that. And it turns out that we foresaw that huge grief. We did, with our means, whatever we could. Even subconsciously, we introduced these messages to the society. As of today, the culture and the folk legacy is the trend, how it turns out. We used to be just white ravens. Everybody was looking at us like that. They're weird. They're just going in embroidered shirts or singing Crimean Tatars in Kyiv. That is weird. But now it turns out to be a necessity. Moreover, in the context of the events which are taking place today, we are trendy. And we have the knowledge, we have the expertise, And we have the administrative resource as well, finally, which is used how it should be used. And honestly speaking, we open lots of doors as of today. I remember the first days when we created the parades of embroidered shirts, and to get a permit for such parade from the mayor's office and from the police was very complicated. But now, all the papers are registered much quicker, thanks God. And now it is much more structured. So in fact, the Crimean Tatars gave me a very nice example, because I remember when we made a deal with Tamila, and honestly speaking, I forgot about that before the festival. When they did it, I just arrived, and as we made a deal, it was even bigger than we were discussing it. As of today, we have the same scheme of work. The children's lawn and the poetic workshop and the mystic land and the tea kingdom and whatever we have there. The military are coming to us, the volunteers as well. I know as a curator, the Crimean Tatars taught me what trust means. Trust and partnership. When you trust, you don't need to control them. You made the deal and then the river is flowing to the full scale. And then you feel that when the viewer is coming to us. Let me name an example. When we started and launched the Land of Dreams Festival, I know what that is. I was playing in many festivals, both abroad and in Ukraine, so I dreamt a perfect festival, how it could be. So according to this internal scenario, I was moving on, but we know that festival is crowds of people drinking beer, fights, and so on. Then they go home and there is piles of garbage and we need to clean that. So during the first of the festivals, we brought many cleaners. So when the people gather in a crowd, this is a kind of a gray mass, because people can be totally diverse, and you have the whole gray picture, 7,000 of people, for instance. And here we had a shock. In fact, many people, 7,000 of people in the embroidered shirts. We were not alone like that. We are a big community. And when the people went home, the lawn was totally green without any garbage. I was really shocked then. It turns out that it is possible that the litter wouldn't be thrown away like that, and that people behaved culturally. So I had such a point. If you don't throw garbage on the stage, then there won't be garbage under the stage. So, according to this scheme, we are going on working from the bottom of our hearts. We are selecting our partners, allies, curators who are working from the bottom of their hearts. They are working for the idea, and it is very well felt and resonated in the society. More interesting cases. I would say it's a kind of archetypical mise-en-scène. A guy came up to me and said, we used to visit a festival many years ago, and there was such a beautiful girl close to me, so I took her hand, and here she is. That is my wife now. So, and this is our child, so we got acquainted at your festival. So it's a real artifact of your activity, creative activity. It gives the birth of the new society of love and new generations, who are not only our audience, but our cultural troops, I would say. So the festival has these achievements already. Of course, we are basing upon and relying upon our experience. We do not feel ourselves as a kind of guerrilla of progressive movement. We are sure that we are right. We have evidence, historical evidence. I am sure that with these actions we are approaching victory. And it got mature, that war, and now it is in the active phase. But we are the ones who are maybe the doctors or kind of how can I say, we are the immunity of the people. It can be found in the cultural layer. We will treat that, and we will win. And then we'll have the festival in the Crimea, right? Yes. Thank you so much. Dear journalists, if you've got any questions, you can pose them to our guests, please. There will be the question in English. If you need translation, interpretation, please use the headset.
Media. Питань про how important is the culture front? People sometimes, I know artists here feel they shouldn't say front knowing that their brother is in the trench. But I think that the West needs to learn more about, especially the Crimean Tatar culture. So also, since I know our brother fights with the army, I want to hear it also from a soldier point of view. So, дякую.
Thank you for the question. Well, sure, it is very archetypical, and we are thinking on it for a long time already. Even in the 90s, I had such an observation that my schedule of the tour with my band was very dense, and the Crimea and the east of Ukraine were almost impossible to reach. It was taking place at the level of the daily organization of concerts. If the organizer of the concert in Simferopol city, in Sevastopol city, or in Kharkiv city, even in Dnipro, in Luhansk or Donetsk, he is putting on the billboard of our band or any other Ukrainian-speaking band, this person can get calls, direct telephone calls, with threats. And then we understand that the Moscow spirit already understood the danger for it. And for me, it's my job, it's my business even. I cannot just get to these regions with my concerts. And then I understood that that is a very important point. Culture for our opponents. And there is no understanding and acknowledgement in the Ukrainian society, or maybe it was done on purpose, that this topic seems to be not that important, that Ukrainian music is not listened by people, but Tamila confirms that it was listened to and it was important. There have been created artificial obstacles so as the culture didn't get there. So it's a kind of a person's body. When the soul leaves it, then the body is dying, not vice versa. And that took place even before 2014, when I understood that the song, the culture, is the soul of the people, the spirit of the people. And we need to do that. We need to take care about that. This acknowledgement, who we are, we Ukrainians or any people, they can be the people only when they understand, when they know their history, when they know their songs, when they speak their language, when they realize that. That is so important. And also what's important, that the culture has soft influence, because no one loves when he or she is being forced. No one loves emotions through fear or through hatred. On the opposite, through love, through nice examples, through nice poetry and language, when it is sounds nicely, cuisine, dishes, clothes, attire, all of that is our life, our daily life. And also we have such a phrase, well, like cultural genetic fund. Somehow, when we are listening to the nice folk song, or when we taste a dish from a traditional cuisine, it really resonates in our genes. It resonates. It is somewhere in our chromosomes. It is embedded there. And this resonance energy is the energy of our life. This is the realization. It is easier for us because we are the artists. When we are on the stage, we feel this energy. We kind of broadcast it, and this is the main information which we share. And all the words and lyrics cannot give you this information only. So, cultural policy, and cultural policy again. Civilized countries always have a cultural policy, and it is not in vain. Maybe they don't tell about that at the highest level, that we should deal with that. But Ukraine is on its way to that of a cultural country, a country which is well developed. At the state level, sooner or later, it will be working. So far, we are creating this platform, this basis, which later will be used by the state. Thank you, Ismail, please. Well, I have one story of mine which I think will specifically answer how important this cultural front, as you said, is. In the beginning of the full-scale invasion, I am a soloist of the ensemble of dance and song of the armed forces of Ukraine, and our ensemble for Easter created a video where we greeted all the Ukrainians with the Easter. And the Easter coincided with Ramadan month, the Muslim fast month. I am a Muslim myself, and I was also complying with Ramadan rules, so it occurred to me that I need to have the same welcome video, but for the Muslims. First of all, the Muslims of Ukraine, first of all for the warriors, for the soldiers, and altogether for all the Muslims of the world who are supporting and helping our country. I was the author and the producer of this video, so we created such a greeting welcome video from the armed forces of Ukraine with the celebration of Ramadan for all of the Muslims of the world, which is supporting and helping Ukraine. In the video, we used to have little plots, little stories, where a child was waving the Crimean Tatar flag, and then our military were going there, and it was a kind of how they went to the Crimea. It looked like that. In the end of the video, I greeted and congratulated the Muslims of Ukraine in Crimean Tatar language. And when the General Staff published this video, first of all, it has become viral. All the Muslim organizations, diaspora, all the communities of Muslims reposted it and showed it. Secondly, in Crimea, first, well, I do remember that very well, I thought that maybe still it is not allowed to show there. And maybe they will not post it in their social networks, in the social media. Well, at least those Crimean Tatars who live there, they will not repost it. But one person did it, then the second one, and then it was the whole wave of the reposts. And the Crimean Tatars who are now in the occupied Crimea, in spite of anything, they started to repost this video. They wrote in the comments to me and to the General Staff even, with the words of gratitude, the words of some support. Thank you, thank you. I know such a case when my acquaintance in the occupied Crimea, he told it to me. He is not a sentimental person at all. He is very harsh, I would say. But he said that I showed this video to one older man, a Crimean Tatar old man. And he said, I even myself was surprised when he was watching it and started crying. He was just in tears because he said that finally they started supporting us. And another point. Out of the Middle East countries, the Muslim countries, there were people writing to me in the comments of the general staff. You can even see that online. It is still in the comment sections, that Russia tells us in the Middle East countries that Ukraine is full of Nazi and fascists and nationalists, but you are the military at the public, at the state level. You are seeming to be a Christian country, a European country, a country which is secular, still creates such a video, this gesture, support of Muslims, the congratulation of Muslims of the world. So it does not coincide with propaganda. So maybe Russia is lying. They even started to write that we'll definitely visit you. We're interested what Ukraine is as a country. So then I understood how powerful this tool can be. And just one video like that started changing the attitude, even not towards me or the ensemble, but to the whole country. The people changed their opinion about our country. Moreover, later I understood and got to know during the year that some of the countries, well, this video has become a very strong argument. After that, the humanitarian aid was sent by the Muslim countries, by the way. Some people sent us power generators. We have such a fact. And it is a confirmed fact that this video has become the latest argument after which the Saudi Arabia allocated humanitarian aid of $100 million to Ukraine. Well, of course, it was not done because of the video only. Our work and diplomats and consuls were working on that as well. But this video has become this kind of a last drop. And then they started to explain to me, those Arabic journalists from the consulate, that this video has become a signal from the people for those countries, for the Muslim countries, because when the diplomats and the consuls are speaking about that, this is one thing, but on the other hand, when we have such a video, the congratulation of the Muslims, and they sing the Muslim song, the military do that, then yes, that is important for the Saudi Arabia, which has become the sign from the people. So I think that it's a very strong example, powerful example, how the culture and cultural projects can help and introduce its investment into our common victory. Thank you so much. That is an inspiring story. Next question, please. Good day. Salam alaikum. Ukrinform, Olga Matarikina. Could you please tell what's the number of participants which is planned to perform at this year's festival? And what's the number of participants from the Crimea, if you calculated them? And if you could compare that to the figures of the last year's festival, please. And the second question, I'd like to get to know if you have any fresh statistical data, how many Crimean Tatars used to live before the occupation and how many left during the occupation. Thank you. Thank you. It is hard to say about the number of participants in the festival. Well, I mean the Crimean part, of course. The festival will take place for 3 days. Mostly the program starts at 3 p.m. There will be lots of children there and musicians during the evening and then during the day as well. There will be public discussions. So it is more than, I don't know, maybe 100 of people. I forgot to say about one more important part. We will, during the Crimean stage of Bağçasaray, we will create the crowdfunding campaign for one of the military units. So far, I will not name it. It is also important for us because we are all living under the conditions of the big full-scale war. So crowdfunding during the auction will present new works and some even services, formally speaking. which will take place in this auction as well. This money then will be transferred to the military. So we've got numbers and numbers of participants. It's hard to tell you the exact number. That's more of 100 of only participants if we speak about artists only at the Crimean stage. But Oleg will comment that we have times and times more participants during the Land of Dreams festival. Answering your question, what was the number of citizens, representatives of the Crimean Tatar people living on the territory of the peninsula? The last census took part in 2001, so you understand that these figures are not relevant. We do not have nationality in our passports, so it is hard to say how many Crimean Tatars are there or here. According to the approximate calculations, that is more than 300,000 people who used to live there before the occupation of Crimea. But I need to mention that after the beginning of the occupation, the official data of the people who left the territory of Peninsula are only about Ukrainian citizens. All the Ukrainians were 55,000 people. We understand that, again, these figures are not true, because the big number of people were not registered as internally displaced people, and we always said that the figures can at least be doubled. After the beginning of the full-scale invasion, and especially the beginning of the mobilization processes on the territory of the peninsula, obviously mobilization to the aggressor country armed forces, the Crimean Tatars, the Ukrainians, were trying to massively leave the territory of peninsula, especially during the autumn of 2022. Approximately 200,000 people left the territory of the peninsula because of the occupation and after the beginning of the full-scale invasion. Approximately 100,000, I would say, are the Crimean Tatars who have left during the whole period. But you know, those figures cannot be confirmed by documents, unfortunately, because no one, neither our migration service nor border service, nor our partners from abroad who register the people leaving the peninsula, they cannot confirm it. Thank you. Oleg, could you add anything about the figures? Last year, let me repeat, we created the festival Land of Dreams on the territory of Uyaba, that is imagination. That is a separate festival which hosted us. We had 2 stages, and at the 2 stages we had approximately 20 artists. I mean bands, collectives. We had a discussion center, a kind of coding, which will be there as well. There would be 20 speakers, and we had craft masters, approximately 10 of them last year. This year we had at least 15 platforms, maybe we'll have more. At the stage, which has the name Stage of Dreams, we'll have 18 artists during the 3 days. The stage which has the name of Paradise will have approximately 25 artists. I mean bands, collectives, not persons. Then we'll have a poetic workshop, which will have up to 60 of them. The poets are numerous. They will speak very rapidly, maybe 15 minutes per person. And that is just a week before the festival. We'll see, maybe there will be more. So poetry is a kind of a front line as well. The children's lawn will have the craft masters and the workshops. So I think about 10 of them. About 100 of craft masters of different crafts. The mystic stage, so far I do not have the necessary information because it is still being selected. I would say that there will be 20 to 30 artists there. As for the Japanese garden stage, they will also have the artists and the stage up to 100 of artists there, participants, and the mystic spiritual circle, the mystic country. They have more than 100 masters there already. That is yoga and tsigun and whatever. And also we have the tea kingdom, tea masters, which are very numerous as well. So really, this is the full-scale country, I would say. We have, I would say, about 1,000 of accreditations for participants, badges. Thank you so much. And the last question, please. One more question to Ismail.
About the fact that the current Minister of Defense, Umerov, is basically leading the fight after all these years to need validation for Crimean Tatar people. It seems like a pretty big deal. Дякую.
It's a little bit provocative question.
Це не зовсім тема прес-конференції.
It's not the topic of the press conference, so you may choose whether to answer or not. Well, it is hard to tell and to estimate him or to assess him because I'm a musician and I'm the military and he's the Minister of Defense. So I cannot tell you anything about that. There is one point which I really remember very well. Maybe I am mistaken, but as far as I see, recently the country, some Scandinavian country, signed a deal with our country that they will acquire the weapons in the future from Ukraine. And for me, it is already an indicator that the work is ongoing of the Minister of Defense. This is a good work. Thank you. Thank you, Alim, please. I would also like to add to your previous question about the Crimean Tatar culture at the international level. You're mentioning Euro-Atlantic region, but honestly speaking, during the last several years, both Ukrainian and Crimean Tatar culture begin to be represented wider in the regions, in the geographies where we were underrepresented mostly. That is Latin America, African countries, Asian as well, Arabic countries. And as of today, it is important to see this phenomenon of the culture which is being reborn and is being developed in the bomb shelters. And the Land of Dreams festival, as for me, is the festival where it would be important to see the people who came to us from other countries, including foreign journalists. Because as for me, this is a unique phenomenon. When during the full-scale invasion, when during the genocidal war, and the war against our identity, we take our own identity and not only show it, but we also find new forms and shapes and new senses to speak loudly with our own voices in our own country, for our residents, and beyond our country as well. Thank you so much. Thank you, our participants. The festival promises to be very bright and really interesting. I wish that it would be like that. And we are speaking about the Crimean stage Bağçasaray, the Jubilee Festival, Land of Dreams. The Media Center Ukraine of Ukrinform will go on working tomorrow. Follow our announcements, and thank you for staying with us. Glory to Ukraine.